I have reached the age of 52 years. For the majority of my life, I have adhered to the roles that others anticipated of me as a wife, a mother, a neighbor, and a friend. I'm expressing this without any resentment. There exists a subtle sense of fulfillment in being reliable, in embodying the role of someone others can trust and rely upon. Yet, at some point in my journey, I lost sight of my own desires. I convinced myself that love, genuine love, was a treasure meant for the youth. I convinced myself that the chapters of my tale were largely complete. On a rainy afternoon, a knock echoed through my door, revealing my cousin's son standing there. It was beyond my wildest imagination that an event of this nature could unfold in my life. Kindly avoid repeating the error I once made. The rain had been falling since the break of dawn, a gentle drizzle that wrapped the world in a shroud of stillness, evoking a sense of solitude that lingered in the air. As I nestled into the couch, cradling a warm cup of chamomile tea and wrapped in my beloved old sweater, a sudden knock echoed through the quiet room. Gently tapped the doorbell, a soft and subtle knock. To my surprise, there was someone at the door. Indeed, I had taken extra measures to steer clear of any arrangements that day. The rain had a way of drawing me inward, much like a turtle seeking refuge within its shell. With a gentle tug, I drew back the blanket, slipped my feet into the cozy embrace of my slippers, and cautiously cracked open the front door. There he stood. Once upon a time, there was a character named Lucas. It had been more than a year since our paths last crossed. The last I knew, he was away at college, pursuing a path in architecture. He lingered in my memory, primarily from those childhood cookouts and the clumsy summers of our teenage years. He was the son of my cousin Diane, which meant we were technically distant relatives, yet we had never truly formed a bond. He appeared transformed, more elongated and slender. His jaw had gained a sharper definition, and his eyes, that gentle hazel hue Diane often teased about stemming from some long-lost Irish relative, appeared more solemn than I recalled. He stood drenched, clutching his hoodie above him, a bashful grin on his face. "Hey, Andy Clare," he said, the familiar nickname from his childhood slipping effortlessly from his lips. My car came to a halt just a few blocks away. My time was spent at Tyler's place. He resides just around the corner now, and it brought back memories of your time here. I stared at him for a moment, feeling a wave of surprise wash over me. Yes, certainly. Step inside, I urged, moving to the side. He entered, water cascading from him onto my welcome mat, his sneakers making a soft squelching sound. I closed the door after him, and the house settled back into its familiar quiet rhythm, yet it seemed to pulse with a newfound warmth, a touch more vibrant than before. I offered to fetch a towel, my feet already moving toward the linen closet. He chuckled gently. "I truly didn't intend to disrupt your day." I found myself at a loss, unsure of where to turn next. Upon my return, he stood there in the living room, an air of discomfort surrounding him, hands tucked away in his pockets, casting furtive glances at the bookshelf as if it might reveal some hidden truth. "Here," I said, as I extended the towel towards him. Our fingers grazed lightly, an unremarkable moment, just warm skin, a subtle flicker of connection in the air. Yet it lingered in my mind for a moment longer than I had anticipated. He toweled off, running the fabric through his dark hair, and surveyed his surroundings. The furniture remains unchanged from years past, exuding a sense of warmth and comfort. A smile crept across my face. "I prefer things to stay the same." With a grin, he replied, "That makes two of us." I prepared him a cup of tea, the very chamomile that had been my own companion. We found ourselves on the couch, separated by a small distance, him still glistening with moisture, while I nestled into my blanket, half curled and cozy. It was a moment that could have been filled with discomfort, but instead, it flowed effortlessly. He shared his experiences of college life, the heartache of breaking up with his girlfriend, and the sense of being adrift. And I paid attention as I always do. Yet, there was something in his gaze that transcended the typical interaction between a child and an elder. His voice carried a softness, intertwined with a sense of wonder. It was as if he uncovered a part of me that had long been hidden from my own view. He remarked that you always appeared to be someone who had life all sorted out. A chuckle escaped me. I tricked you. He inclined his head slightly. Indeed, it's true. Your demeanor is serene, unlike that of my mother. She is perpetually in a state of frenzy. You stand apart. I gazed into the depths of my tea. I found myself on a journey to embrace tranquility. Life didn't offer me an easy path. The rain continued its gentle rhythm against the windows, and for a fleeting moment, it seemed as though the entire universe had shrunk to encompass just this small room, 2 souls, a pot of tea, and the hushed resonance of unspoken memories waiting to unfold. He suddenly confessed, "I used to have the biggest crush on you." I raised my gaze. He wore a smile, yet a hint of pink danced across his cheeks. "Perhaps it escaped your attention," he went on. "Yet, during my 13th year, I would always seek out a reason to engage with you whenever we came to visit. You stood apart from the crowd in a way that was unmistakable." My breath hitched, not due to his words, but because of the emotions they stirred within me. Witnessed. Recalled. It goes beyond my actions or the ways I aided others. It's about something deeper. In a gentle tone, I remarked, "I suppose I'm flattered." He gazed at me then, truly gazed, and an unspoken connection flowed between us. Neither excessive nor timid, yet unmistakably authentic. My fingers, once wrapped around the warm cup of tea, now felt the chill of the air, a stark contrast to the warmth I had hoped to embrace. "I should get going," he said after a while, yet he remained still. Silence enveloped me, and I chose to remain unspoken. The quiet lingered in the air, soft yet electric, filled with words that remained unvoiced. As he rose to his feet at last, I guided him toward the door. He expressed his gratitude for the tea. I nodded, and as he ventured out into the rain, he halted for a moment, casting a glance back in my direction. "Even now, Claire, your beauty remains undeniable. I wish for someone to share that with you more frequently." And just like that, he vanished into thin air. The door shut softly, yet the stillness that enveloped the house felt different. And I was not either. That night, slumber eluded me. The image of Lucas's gaze lingered in my mind, haunting and vivid, as if I held a significance that deserved attention, a place in memory. It was more than merely his words. The way he expressed it was everything. He stood in the doorway, taking his time, as if the moment held a weight that demanded to be savored. His moment of pause before stepping into the downpour was palpable. I found myself revisiting every moment, fragment by fragment, as if it were a melody that wouldn't leave my mind. What I felt wasn't guilt. It transcended mere confusion. It was an experience that resonated on a profound level. A pain I was unaware of, only revealed when someone reached out to it. The following morning, I awoke to a pristine sky and an unusual quietness enveloping the house. As I stepped barefoot into the kitchen, I poured myself a steaming cup of coffee, then paused at the window, captivated by the way the light danced through the trees. The world appeared rejuvenated, as if it had been purified anew. Suddenly, my phone vibrated, breaking the silence. I received a message from an unfamiliar number. "Greetings, this is Lucas. I trust that my words yesterday didn't come across as too peculiar." A wave of anxiety washed over me. "Once more, I appreciate your kindness in sharing the tea. We would be delighted to have a deeper conversation at another time." My gaze lingered on the screen, far beyond what was reasonable. In that moment, before my thoughts could spiral, I responded with a message. Your words were perfectly normal. Your honesty was evident. Such occurrences are uncommon in today's world. The coffee pot is perpetually brewing. His response came in a heartbeat. "Perhaps I shall accept your offer." And he followed through. 3 days later, he returned, this time bearing pastries from a quaint cafe downtown and a smile that radiated newfound confidence. His presence in my home brought an unexpected sense of familiarity. He observed the subtle details, remarked on the vintage mirror adorning the hallway, inquired about the aged piano nestled in the corner. I shared with him that there was a time in my life when I played, a time before the demands of life took over. He inquired whether I would ever engage in play again. Perhaps, I replied, with a casual shrug. Perhaps I've reached a point where beginning anew feels out of reach. He cast me a glance that was part playful, part earnest. Age is just a number, Claire. You're simply anticipating. Anticipating what lies ahead? He smiled gently as memories of your true self washed over him. Words escaped me in that moment. We lingered on the back porch after our coffee, the sun gently caressing our skin, while a soft breeze danced through the lavender I had nurtured last spring. Our conversation meandered through a landscape of thoughts, touching on the profound and the trivial alike. He posed inquiries that resonated with depth, transcending the realm of mere small talk. What experiences ignite your spirit and make you feel truly vibrant? Can you recall the most recent moment when someone caught you off guard? Gradually, I started to reveal my thoughts and feelings. I shared with him the story of how my husband and I had drifted apart long before the divorce, how I had dedicated years to maintaining harmony rather than embracing honesty, how I had persuaded myself that true love was meant for someone else. A figure of youth, a spirit of courage. Lucas remained silent. He simply absorbed the words spoken around him, not with mere politeness, but with complete engagement, as if my words held significance. It seems to me that many individuals choose to accept less than what they truly desire, I remarked at last. Not out of desire, but from exhaustion. He gave a slight nod. You are not weary. The first light of dawn gently nudges you from the realm of dreams. In that moment, it became clear to me, he wasn't flirting. He had no intention of winning me over. His mere presence lingered in the air, and that, above all else, stirred a deep ache within my heart. As he departed that afternoon, his fingers brushed against mine for a fleeting moment, a gentle squeeze as I guided him to the door. Yet it remained. His gaze locked onto mine, and an unvoiced connection flickered between us once more, delicate and ephemeral. Gratitude filled the air as he expressed his appreciation for the day. I nodded, my voice trapped within me. Under the dim light of the room, I found myself at the piano, a place I hadn't visited in 15 long years. My fingers quivered, hesitant and unsteady, yet the melody flowed forth regardless. Reluctant, fractured, sincere. As I shut the lid and gazed out at the street illuminated by the moon, a sense of possibility washed over me. A part of me understood the intricacies of it all, that emotions were tangled and that boundaries could easily fade. Yet, a different aspect of my being, the subdued part that had remained overlooked for far too long, was starting to murmur. Perhaps, just perhaps, this was not an error after all. Perhaps this marked the start of an experience I was hesitant to acknowledge as essential. When Lucas arrived again, everything had changed. Not in an overtly dramatic or grand manner, but rather in a subtle, assured way. He approached with confidence, bypassing the hesitation of a typical guest, and made his presence known without the formality of a knock or the patience of waiting on the porch. He entered the room as if he were meant to be there, a soft smile gracing his lips, and 2 cups of coffee cradled in his hands. I thought you might like this, he remarked, placing one gently on the counter. I recalled that you prefer yours with a touch of honey. He recalled. That seemingly insignificant detail caused a weight to settle in my chest. With a gentle smile, I tucked a curl behind my ear. You're about to indulge me. Perhaps you are worthy of it, he murmured gently. We gathered around the kitchen table. The golden light streamed through the window, casting gentle lines across the floor. Lucas shared his thoughts on his classes, reflecting on his journey in architecture and contemplating a transition to design or perhaps exploring a more artistic path. He expressed that being in this place, in my presence, shifted his perspective on time and purpose. "You have a way of making everything feel like it's moving in slow motion," he remarked. Not in a negative sense, but rather in a significant way. His words fell softly, stirring the calm surface and sending waves that reached far and wide. Following our coffee, we strolled through the garden. The roses began to unfurl their petals once more, arriving a bit later than usual this year, yet resilient in their beauty. I shared with him the story of how I planted them the year following my divorce, how I had sought something to nurture that wouldn't respond or demand too much from me. "They're beautiful," he remarked, gently caressing a petal with his thumb. We paused beside the weathered wooden bench that rested against the fence. He settled into his seat, extending his long legs before him. I paused for a moment, then settled down next to him, maintaining a distance that was neither too intimate nor too detached. After a moment of contemplation, he remarked, "I've been pondering what this truly is." I faced him. This. Intertwining threads of existence. We are together. It transcends mere nostalgia or curiosity. Another thing entirely. I hesitated before responding. The wind stirred softly, caressing my skin as if it were a distant recollection. It seems to me that two individuals, each experiencing their own form of solitude, have crossed paths unexpectedly, discovering a connection in a fleeting moment. He gave a slight nod. That is precisely the sensation it evokes. There was a pause, one that carried significance, not in tension, but in finality. "I don't wish to put you in an awkward position," he expressed. "If I have overstepped, please let me know. I hold you in high regard as well." I interrupted him, asserting, "You haven't." And that was the reality of the situation. This was not a mere whimsical daydream. This transcended age, roles, and definitions. In a world where two souls had consistently prioritized the desires of others over their own, fate intervened, bringing them together in a singular moment at a shared crossroads. He extended his hand toward mine, moving with a gentle caution. I allowed him to proceed. His fingers exuded warmth and steadiness. For a time, silence enveloped us and words were left unspoken. We found ourselves seated, two souls in a garden, enveloped by the vibrant life of blooming flora. As the evening unfolded and he departed, I found myself lingering before the mirror, lost in thought for longer than I typically would. Not to praise or condemn, but to observe. Take a moment to truly observe. In the contours of my form, the gentle arcs, the delicate warmth that frames my gaze. At the woman I had transformed into. I felt seen. I felt acknowledged. I experienced a profound sense of recognition. And that was more terrifying than anything else. For when you are truly seen, when another reflects the depths of your being, returning to the facade of normalcy becomes a daunting challenge. It wasn't love, not yet, but it was a connection that felt genuine and delicate. For the first time in ages, I found myself unafraid to embrace the emotion. The days that followed unfolded like a journey along a fragile boundary, straddling the realms of reality and something ethereal. An unvoiced tension lingered in each look, each caress, each moment that lingered just a heartbeat longer than necessary. Lucas visited frequently these days. It wasn't a daily occurrence, but frequent enough that I started to recognize the pattern of his arrivals. He would tap gently, then enter with a quiet, "It's me." He had a unique way of presenting a new type of tea with each visit, as if he were attuned to my emotions and sought to complement them with the perfect flavor. And my mood had transformed. I felt a sense of buoyancy, laughter spilling forth with ease. The stillness in the house seemed lighter, almost serene. It felt complete. Yet, an unspoken connection remained between us. A query, a threshold, a stillness that lingered, waiting for something to break its hold. As the evening unfolded and the sun sank beneath the trees, bathing my living room in a warm, amber glow, Lucas arrived once more. He appeared weary, yet composed. A bit disheveled from the day's events, reminiscent of a person who had been lost in deep thought for an extended period. "May we engage in a conversation?" he inquired. I gave a slight nod and guided him toward the couch. He leaned in, resting his elbows on his knees, fingers intertwined. He averted his gaze from me initially. "I don't want to hurt you," he murmured softly. My heart leaped with excitement. "I have not," I responded. "I understand this is quite intricate," he went on. "You are related to my mother as her cousin." "I understand. The matter of age, the matter of family, the perspective it could present to others. Yet, the appearance holds no significance for me. My concern lies in the essence of the experience." His voice wavered slightly. "Being with you, Clitter, brings a sense of authenticity that is undeniable. Your presence brings me a sense of stability." Comprehended. Secure. I took a deep breath. There was a resonance in his voice that stirred something profound within me. "I understand," I replied. "I sense it as well." He lifted his gaze at that moment, at last connecting with my eyes. "All the time, I think about you," he whispered, and not in a haphazard, fleeting manner. "There's more to it than meets the eye." I extended my hand and grasped his. My fingers quivered ever so slightly, yet I held on tightly. "So much of my life has been spent in waiting," I remarked, anticipating the perfect moment, the ideal companion, nearly seeking approval. Yet existence unfolds without a guidebook. At times, what is truly right may not appear as you had envisioned. He inched nearer. He continued to grasp my hand as he spoke. "What comes next?" I exhaled deeply. "Let us speak truthfully. We proceed at a leisurely pace. We stand in the open. We honor the boundaries, yet we acknowledge that they can occasionally become indistinct." He gave a slight nod. In a moment that seemed to hold its breath, he leaned in and kissed me, gently, as if asking a question to which he already knew the answer. Time seemed to stretch endlessly, devoid of any pressing need. There is an absence of warmth. Only warmth. Faith. A serene understanding. As he withdrew, I leaned my forehead gently against his. "This is not an error," I declared. He whispered, "I know." We lingered in that moment for some time. Silence prevails. No explanations are necessary. Simply inhale and embrace the intimacy. As the night deepened and he had departed, I found myself on the porch, gazing up at the twinkling stars above. After so long, a sense of anticipation faded, and I found myself no longer in a state of waiting. I was more than just an ex-wife, or a neighbor you can always count on. I found myself on a journey to uncover the essence of being desired, to be selected, to prioritize her own needs. Perhaps it wasn't the romantic tale I had envisioned. Yet it belonged to me.